In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace a rear knuckle on a Jeep Cherokee, which is located behind the rear wheel. You want to raise and support your vehicle safely, wheels off the ground. You want to take these 19mm lug bolts off. These are not lug nuts, they are a bolt. And that's what it looks like. You just want to put this one back in so the wheel doesn't fall off when you take all the rest of them off. Hold your wheel, take that last one out. After you remove your rear wheel, you have to remove your rear caliper. Your rear caliper is held on by two 10mm bolts. After you take your top nut off the caliper, there is a bracket. Just want to pull that bracket, push it down off to the side. Take your 10mm wrench and remove that bolt. Now you want to remove your caliper. Just pry towards you. Put that out of the way. After you remove your caliper, you need to remove your caliper bracket, which is held on by two T55 Torx bolts. After you remove your caliper bracket, you have a 5mm Allen that you need to take off to remove the rotor. Remove your rotor. Now it's time to take that nut off. That axle nut is 1.25 inches. Make sure your axle moves freely. You can take a ball peen hammer, put it inside this socket, and hit it with another hammer to make sure that axle pushes in. On the back side of your wheel bearing, you have four E14 inverted Torx bolts. You need to remove those. Two up top and two down the bottom. Here's your two bottom E14 bolts. Now back to the front. You can do this one of two ways. You can take a mallet, hit your wheel bearing from the back side out, or you can use one of these. This is a wheel bearing removal tool. Take your caliper, swing it off to the side. You have two 10mm bolts, one for your ABS sensor, one for the bracket. Take your ABS sensor out, 10mm bolt out. Now it's time to remove your ABS sensor, which comes straight up. Put that off to the side. Now you can take your caliper, take this clamp, lift it straight up, and you can just tie that off to the side. Now when removing your wheel bearing, after you put your wheel bearing tool on, you're going to have to hit it with a hammer in this section just to remove it from the knuckle. Sometimes it comes right off, sometimes it does not, but work at it and it will come. After you remove your wheel bearing, you're going to have to remove your backing plate. It's held on by four 10mm bolts. Before you remove any of your suspension bolts, control arms, anything like that, you want to put a support jack underneath it. It takes the tension off, and it's going to help you take these bolts out a lot easier. Your upper control arm held on by one 18mm bolt and nut. Push on your knuckle a little bit, just wiggle that bolt out. After removing your outer bolt, you want to just loosen up this inner bolt so this can move. Before you take down your lower control arm, you need to remove this 15mm nut that's attached to your lower control arm link. That's a 15mm nut and a 5mm Allen. Once again, leave that nut on a little bit. You can tap it without ruining your threads and pull it through. Now it's time to take your lower control arm down. That holds your spring. You want to keep your bottle jack here because this spring is under extreme pressure. So when you take your bolt out, you lower your spring, you remove your spring. Now you lower it. Just hold on to your spring so it doesn't fall out. Push your bottle jack out of the way. And remove your spring. You have your lower shock bolt, which is a 21mm. You need to remove that. Now onto your lower control arm bolt, which is a 21mm nut and bolt. Move your lower control arm out of the way. Now you're off to these 3 bolts here. You have to take off some clips. This clip is for the brake line. Slide that towards you and out. Your caliper wire. Take that, slide that out. Your ABS wire. Slide that out. Pull that brake line out of the bracket. Push those out of the way. Now you have your 3 16mm bolts for your arm to your knuckle. Just make sure you're holding on to your knuckle with that last bolt. There's your knuckle. To install your knuckle, slide your axle through, raise it up, put your bolts in for your forward control arm. Snug those 3 bolts up. Take your lower control arm outer bolt, install that into your knuckle. You don't want to tighten that all the way, you want to keep that a little loose. Take your upper control arm, install it into your knuckle. Snug that bolt. Now we're going to tighten the rear bolt just to snug. Don't want to tighten any of these bolts just quite yet till you get it all together. Now it's time to install your spring onto your lower control arm. You have your sway bar link, make sure that's in this little pocket right here. Just like I said when I removed the spring, these are under extreme pressure. Be careful because it will want to come back out once you start putting pressure on it. Let's move that up slowly, positioning it into your knuckle. If you're having a hard time putting the bolt through because there is an angle to this, it's a little tech tip. You can take a pair of pliers, clamp those on the head of the bolt, and then you can move it around a lot easier. It'll help put the bolt through. Put your nut on, just like all the other bolts. Just give it a snug. And then it's off to put your rear shock bolt on. You might have to push the shock up a little bit, just so it lines up with your hole. Get your bolt started. And that's the only bolt that you can tighten suspension-wise at this part of the job. Now it's time to install your lower sway bar link nut. You can take a pry bar or a screwdriver, whatever you have, try to maneuver that stud through the hole before you put your nut on. Take your nut, take your 15mm wrench and your 5mm Allen, tighten that bolt. And that nut gets tightened down to 41 foot-pounds. Before you torque down any of your bolts, you want to put your bottle jack underneath, raise your suspension to ride height or close to it. That way when you torque your bolts, you don't put stress on your bushings. Now you're ready to torque your bolts. That upper cradle bolt to the knuckle is 133 foot-pounds. Now onto your lower control arm. That one's 113 foot-pounds. Now your rear arm to your cradle. Tighten that up. You want to torque that down to 133 foot-pounds. After everything is torqued down, you can now remove your bottle jack. You can unlatch your brake caliper, swing it onto the side. You have your hose and brake line bracket. You can put your bolt in for that. And that bolt gets tightened down to 106 inch-pounds torque. Now you have your ABS sensor. Line it up with your hole. Tap it in. And that 10mm gets torqued down to 106 inch-pounds. Put your grommet back in your holder. Now we can take our caliper, hang it up out of the way. Next step is to put your backing plate on, but you want to clean your mating surfaces. You can use a tool like this, or you can use a razor blade. Take your 4 10mm bolts, install those by hand first. Snug those up. Now you have your wheel bearing. Before you put your wheel bearing on, there's a shim. You do not want to remove that shim. Make sure that shim is nice and flush up against the axle. Take your wheel bearing, line up your bolt holes, and then come in from the back side and put your bolts in. It's a little tech tip for you. You can take your axle nut, put it on by hand. That's going to help your wheel bearing sit flush and help you put your bolts into the back of your wheel bearing. You can start your 2 top wheel bearing bolts. Snug those up. And now the bottom bolts. Start those by hand. Give those a snug. Torque those down at 70 foot-pounds. Now you can torque your top 2. Then you get your bottom shock bolt. That gets torqued down to 139 foot-pounds. Push your line through, put your clip in. Take your ABS sensor, clip it back into its holder. Same thing with your brake caliper. wires. Put your brake line and brake hose clip back into the knuckle. Make sure your lines are properly placed in the holder. That'll clip on. Here's your rotor. Here's your alignment pin. Put that on by hand. Tighten that up. Now it's on to your axle nut. Take your caliper bracket. Start your bolts by hand. Give those a snug. You want to tighten those down at 32 foot-pounds. Take your caliper, swing it back around, put it over your brake pads, start your bolts, tighten those down by hand, and those are going to get torqued down to 32 foot-pounds. Now you take your caliper bracket with your line, slide it over the stud, take your nut, tighten that also to 32 foot-pounds. Now it's time to torque your axle nut. You can do this one of two ways. You can have somebody sit in the driver's seat, push down on the brake while you torque it, or if you don't have a friend to do that, you can put two lug nuts or lug nut bolts like we have here. Take a bar, set it down, put it down on the ground, torque your nut. And remember, anytime you do any suspension work, you definitely want to get in alignment after you're done. Line up your holes. Get your lug bolt in. You want to do this by hand so you don't cross thread. And snug them up. We have our wheels back on the ground. We're going to torque these at 100 foot-pounds in a crisscross manner. And there you have it.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.